You're listening to The Everett Lee Show. A shot of entertainment to the head. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the entertainment.
Welcome to the Everett Lee Show podcast. I'm Everett Lee. Quick shout out to everyone that follows me on Twitter. You can follow me at the Everett Lore Score Lee, Facebook.com/the Everett Lee. Click that thumbs up, and of course, Podcast City Network, the official host of the Everett Lee Show. Well, sorry about the technical difficulty. Looks like I loaded up the intro twice, but that's all good. That is all good because tonight I got one hell of a podcast for you right now, ladies and gentlemen, and that's not possible without the supporters of Podcast City Network. Head over to podcastcity.net for the latest podcast content, such as the Everett Lee Show and much, much more shows on podcastcity.net. You can follow them on Facebook, Podcast City Network, and on Twitter at podcastcitynet. I want to give a shout out to City Limits Tap Room in DeLand, Florida, home of Draft Day. Wide selection of TVs, indoor and outdoor sporting. Food menu, grilled cheese is excellent. Stage out back for live events, much, much more. It's City Limits Tap Room in DeLand, Florida. Atlantic Sound Records off of International Boulevard, Daytona Beach. You're looking for that vinyl, CD, or cassette you may have lost. They may have it. Hit them up on Facebook, Atlantic Sound Records, and they can order anything that you need at your fingertips. SportsSanityCustoms.com. You're looking for custom apparel, shirts, anything with the logo on it, hit them up. SportsSanityCustoms.com will hook you up with custom apparel. And if you're looking for that nice, sweet logo like the Podcasting Network Year 2 logo, hit up 3 Count Design on Facebook. They will design any type of logo for you and media needs at your fingertips. And let's give a shout out to Hurricane JJ Maguire, the true master of wrestling ring music from Kentucky Zone Wrestling. Check out Kentucky Zone Wrestling on Facebook for the latest promos, content, and listings of upcoming shows, and much, much more at Kentucky Zone Wrestling. And this is all brought to you by podcastcity.net. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all I got to say is the champ is here. Well, not exactly. Not that champ you guys are thinking about you see on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm talking about, to me, he's still the champ, no matter what. I want to welcome to the program tonight. He is Kentucky's own wrestler, Matty B. How you doing there, Matty?
I'm doing great. Glad to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. No problem. I was laughing. Well, I'm a little bit laughing now because I didn't check out the results from last weekend's show, and apparently you're not the champ no more, but you're still the champ to me.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. It was a tough thing to see my second title reign come to an end, but it is what it is. Glad to see that somebody supporting me still.
Yeah. You still got fans out there, man. You have a lot of fans that enjoy what you do in Kentucky's own wrestling, and they back you, man. They definitely do. They definitely do. And you'll get that belt back. You will. You'll become champion again. I know it.
About that.
We have a lot to discuss with Kentucky's own wrestling, which we'll get into here in a moment, though. But I want to find out a little bit about you, a little bit about who Matty B is. Where did you grow up at?
I was born in beautiful Pikeville, Kentucky, and that's actually where my first hometown billing was from. I used to call it by nickname Pike Vegas, Kentucky. But I was born there, and I was raised there until third grade. And then we lived in Tennessee for a little while before I came back to Eastern Kentucky and lived there until until about a year ago, I moved to Somerset, Kentucky, and I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to travel quite a bit with wrestling and in my life, and now in Somerset. But never forget beautiful East Kentucky.
That's awesome. That is. At what age did you get into wrestling?
Well, I have been around wrestling my entire life, but I guess when I started picking up wrestling, my earliest memories I have, I'd say I was 4, just because I don't think I would have any memories from being 3 years old. But my very first wrestling memory would be the regular Nintendo. I think it was the WrestleMania game.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's what it was. I remember playing as Hulk Hogan against the Undertaker.
Nice. That is nice. Hulk Hogan. Was he one of your favorites growing up? Hulk Hogan. Were you a Hulkamaniac, like many of us were?
Well, I was when I was a young kid, and then I'm 28 years old, so a lot of the red and yellow is a little bit of a blur for me. But because in '96, I mean, is when Hollywood Hogan came about, and I was a big fan of Hollywood Hogan for a long time.
Yeah, you can't forget about the '96 with the NWO when Hogan turned on the fans and he told them to stick it. And that's funny that since you mentioned about Hollywood Hogan, because he did it right here in Daytona Beach in 1996 over at the Ocean Center, and that was something right there. And what the late Mean Gene Okerlund said was, when Hogan turned on the fans, they filled up all the trash from Daytona Beach off the streets into the ring when he turned on them. That was a moment there, man.
Yeah, definitely. I remember my uncle being he was extremely instrumental in showing me wrestling when I was growing up, and I remember him being extremely excited about that.
Oh yeah,
I think he actually buying that pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
he didn't buy the pay-per-view, so I think he bought that one.
Yeah, Bash to the Beach '96, man. That was Hogan was the third guy. He was the third guy. I can remember that on commentary right there with Bobby the Brain Heat, and he said Hogan's the third guy.
Spoiled the entire thing.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He did. He definitely did, man. That was great. '96 right there with WCW, and of course you had WWE, WWF at the time, and it was really great because you had the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars was just getting ready to start up. So that was a great time and great just to be a fan in that era. I remember that myself, man. Or I was around my senior year of high school when Hollywood Hogan came into wrestling and the NWO took over. It definitely did. It definitely did. Now, getting into wrestling at a young age and growing up watching it, when did you decide to become a wrestler, to get into wrestling?
I think around the time that I want to say The Rock was champion.
Uh-huh.
I remember watching The Rock quite a bit, and he was my. I liked Hulk Hogan, but The Rock was my guy as far as I was growing up. That was the man in my estimation.
Right.
And that kind of watching The Rock really inspired me and made me feel like I could possibly get into the wrestling business at some point. And it was constantly discouraged by everyone in my life. When I was growing up and in high school, no one ever told me to go ahead and try to pursue that dream because they had no clue of how to go about getting started in it. and thought it was too much of a long shot. But
yeah, but you found a way, and you got into wrestling, and
I guess to answer your question, about 11 years old.
11 years old. 11 years old. But when did you decide to go and train? When you were 18?
No, I wish that I had. But like I said, a lot of people in my life were discouraging me from doing it. I know that a girl I was seeing at the time thought it was ridiculous. No longer seeing her. Also, my grandparents thought I was going to get hurt and disabled and not be able to work, kind of thing. So they didn't think I should do it. And I kind of held off on it longer than I wanted to. I wanted to do it as soon as I was 18, but then I was 20 years old. I was in college, at community college in my hometown, Pikeville, and I had class with a wrestler, and his name was Sammy Styles, and he wrestled for a company called Bluegrass Championship Wrestling. And I recognized him from going to one of their shows and started talking to him about it, and one thing led to another, and he offered for me to come see what it was all about and come train. So I was 20 years old, and I wish I'd started at 18. I'd be 2 years better than I am now. But, that's how life is. But I started with Bluegrass Championship Wrestling training then. And a few years ago, but it was years later after I started training, Sammy, one of my best friends in the whole world, told me that he never thought that I would end up making it and actually wrestling on shows.
Really?
In front of people. That would never happen. And he was happy that he was wrong.
He definitely was. He definitely was. Now, being at a promotion and wrestling with the promotion, where did you go from there after that?
Well, I wrestled with Bluegrass Championship Wrestling for maybe a year. Not really a year before I started branching out, because we did kind of share talent when we could, but mostly where Bluegrass Championship Wrestling is in the state of Kentucky, there's not a lot around it, especially during that time. This is 2010. There weren't a ton of other companies close by or a lot of other wrestlers close by, so they were kind of off to themselves. But the next company that I wrestled for was Kentucky Zone Wrestling. At the time, it was called Kill Zone Wrestling.
Right.
And I wrestled just kind of one-off spots here and there whenever I could. I was still primarily with Bluegrass Championship Wrestling, but I started branching out to Kentucky Zone, and then also branched out to, at the time, it was called Ohio Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
And that's now defunct, and the owner now has another company called Thoroughbred Championship Wrestling, which I wrestled for them too. But so that's kind of when I started getting my feet wet of where else was possible. But since then, I've wrestled for Lawrenceburg, Kentucky for Wildcat Championship Wrestling, in Paris, Kentucky for Primetime Wrestling. I wrestled in Tennessee for a promoter named Jeremy Brake. I wrestled in West Virginia for a couple of different promotions there. And I've also traveled and did a seminar in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. A little company called Ring of Honor did their seminar.
Oh, nice!
And that was a great learning experience for me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I heard about the Ring of Honor seminars, man, because you can actually take a lot from that there in the seminars, and it's encouraged to, when they do have a seminar, to go do that, because you can actually learn a lot from a promotion like that and get some inside stuff and things that you need. So, man, you pretty much been pretty much all over in Kentucky, there in Tennessee. I lived in Tennessee at one point. I lived in Maryville for about 11 years, and it was great. It was great being there in Tennessee.
Yeah, and Tennessee does have a lot of wrestling promotions that you can go to, and fans can watch, and there's plenty of places to wrestle, and there's all kinds of wrestlers. Tennessee, they don't actually require a licensing like the state of Kentucky does. So
yes,
it's a little bit easier to get on with training there, but it's, there's just so many people trying, and everybody's starting things up. It's, to me, I would rather train in Kentucky, but that's just a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with wherever you want to apply your craft.
Right. Yeah, I heard about that with Kentucky. You have to have that license to wrestle in the state just even get near a ring. And I know some of the stuff I've been seeing on the KZW YouTube with talent that's been showcased in the last few days on there. And one of the talents I talked with, Robin Full Nelson, he even just being a ringside reporter, you have to get a license. And a friend of mine, I was talking about wrestling in Kentucky, and he's like, oh yeah, he's like, you gotta have a license. I was like, I know, man, I know, but you gotta do what you gotta do if you wanna wrestle and actually do that. And speaking of Kentucky,
like 13 states have to have it. I had to have one for Pennsylvania too.
Oh,
and
really?
Virginia, you have to have one.
Oh, wow. I didn't know Pennsylvania and West Virginia. Wow.
No, not West Virginia. Virginia.
Virginia. Okay. I'm sorry. Wow, that's amazing. It is. And speaking of Kentucky Zone Wrestling, now there's quite a bit going on with you when you lost your championship at the last event there. I mentioned at the beginning of the program, top of the program, that you lost the KCW World Heavyweight Championship. Who took the title from you at the event that was last week there?
Well, the title was taken. It was stolen by Chief Tomahawk. He's a wrestling veteran who's been wrestling with KCW ever since its inception. He's a guy that he rests in his laurels. He knows what to do to make sure he gets the job done. But I'll tell you, I'm not exactly pleased with losing the championship. I didn't want to be a guy that just has to get robbed and constantly keep winning it back. I wanted to just stick with being a 2-time KCW heavyweight champion, but I'm gonna have to put up with being a 3-time because I'm gonna be getting the title back.
Yeah. When should fans expect to see you with the rematch? When's that gonna be happening?
Well, that's one thing that I have to get up with Mr. JJ about. He's currently the matchmaker, if you want to call him that.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who's signing the checks, and for some reason he's got someone else advertised to take on Chief Tomahawk for the championship. A guy named Chris Sterling. Not saying he doesn't deserve it.
Right.
If I have my rematch. I think all other matches need to be put on hold until I decide to cash that baby in. So I plan on talking to JJ about that at our next event in Williamsburg on February the 23rd. Since he's not going to return my calls right now, I'm just going to have to do it in front of the people.
No. Oh, wow. Got to do that in front of a crowd there to get some. Wow, I don't know what to say, man. That's crazy. That's insane, man. He's not even returning your calls. Wow. And how do you refer to him as?
No, nobody returns my calls anymore.
Wow. I hope he returns your call, man, because I'd love to see you go after the championship again. I definitely would love to see you get that title back. And the event that you're talking about is on the 23rd. It's KZW, Kentucky Zone Wrestling, returns to Williamsburg on Saturday, February 23rd. There will be carnage. And it looks like a pretty good card there on the poster I'm looking at right there. And viewers right now are taking a look at it right there. Let's take it off of Kentucky Zone Wrestling's Facebook page. Looks like you're in a tag match there with Jack Thorne against Undead Outlaws. Tell me about that right there. How did that happen right there? You teaming up with Jack Thorne, taking on the Undead Outlaws. What's the story there? I'm interested in that.
It's clearly just a bait and switch. I mean, JJ must think I'm some kind of child that I'll just take a look at that and say, oh, great, I've got a tag team title match. It's time to get ready for this competition. But he doesn't understand that I'm wanting to get my rematch for the heavyweight title. I'm not wanting to do this one-off tag match, which I would clearly win. I mean, it's not anything that's new to me. I'm wrestling a couple guys I've wrestled several times. One by the name of Repic, who got his ears lowered thanks to me. We had a hair versus title match. I took his title, took his hair, and JJ wants to put me in the ring with him again. I'm going to take his tag titles too. And his partner, Sully Larkin, I like to refer to him as a jabroni because that's what I see him as. So me and Jay Thorne, I mean, it's pretty much a done deal, but that's not the match that I want. The match I want is for the heavyweight championship.
Right.
And that's exactly what I'm going to talk to JJ about.
Right. In the chat right now on twitch.com/podcastcity network, I want to thank everyone viewing in tonight. You got Devin052317. He says Matty B is the best, serially deserves to go pro. And he definitely agrees with what you say right there. Dirty Deeds 817 says Matty B is the real KZW champion. You want to comment on that right there?
Well, I mean, clearly you got some people who have some good taste tuning in tonight. I'm glad to see that your fans share the same views that my fans do. Some of them are my fans, and I appreciate the support. The only thing is, I mean, you got to come out to Williamsburg, show me the support there. There's too many people that come out to buy tickets that want to boo Matty B, that they don't want to cheer for Matty B. So we got to turn the tide. You got to buy a ticket at the Armory, Williamsburg, Kentucky. Bell time is 7:30, and that's February 23rd.
That is right there. You got to go out, man. If you're viewing right now and you're in the area, please go out to Williamsburg on Saturday, February 23rd, Kentucky Zone Wrestling, for There Will Be Carnage. Please attend that. It will be at the National Guard Armory at 215 Hurricane Howell, Williamsburg, Kentucky. Doors open at 7 p.m. Bell time is at 7:30. And be sure to check out what Matty B does next. Now, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and you've kind of already answered it, though, but I want you to elaborate more on it because I'm really interested in it. What is it like to work for Mr. Maguire or Hurricane JJ Maguire? How do you refer to say him? I'm a friend of his, so I address him as Hurricane JJ Maguire. How do you address him?
I'll usually just call him JJ. I know a lot of people call him many different things. I know Jimmy Hart there at Daytona Beach likes to just call him Maguire, or Jimmy Maguire. I'll call him JJ. To me, JJ's the kind of guy. He's been around the wrestling business his entire life. He understands aspects of the wrestling business. Personally, I think he makes better music than he does decisions running Kentucky Zone Wrestling. But the thing about it is we don't, as professional wrestlers, who's in charge doesn't really matter. It's all about our performance and what we do in the ring between those ropes. So no matter what he puts in front of me, no matter what decisions he makes, Matty B's still gonna. It's still going to be Matty B getting the W. Still going to be Matty B going on to get his heavyweight championship back. That's the thing to take to the bank.
Hell yeah. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that right there. I definitely do. I noticed I have up on a slideshow with some pictures of you in the ring and in action on one of the screens when it gets switched to it, thanks to my producers. Now, you pictured with Jimmy Hart. I can't believe that, man. I can't believe that. You were in Daytona, in my neck of the woods there, and you met the Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart. What was it like for you to meet Jimmy Hart? I want to know about that.
He's one of the nicest guys I've met in the wrestling business. He's seen it all. He's done it all. He's been in the ring wrestling matches. He's managed some of the best in the world, including Hulk Hogan. And everywhere that Hogan went, he was able to sneak in that Jimmy Hart tax. Jimmy Hart came along for the ride. He went from the WWF to the WCW. Jimmy Hart knows his stuff. He and we sat down and had a drink at his bar, and we talked about the wrestling business and different aspects of what's going on currently. And he gave me some managerial advice, and it's helped me out quite a bit with what I'm doing. And I was gracious enough that I gave Jimmy Hart a free T-shirt and even signed it for him. He definitely wanted my autograph that day. Nice.
That is awesome, man. Jimmy Hart wanting an autograph from the champ. That is awesome. That is. I might have been there around that time when you were there. I might have ran into you there and just didn't know it at the time. But I know it now. If I didn't then, but I know it now. I love it. I definitely love it.
When I'm there, I stay at the Wind of Motion Walk, and I noticed that I saw a car outside the hotel where his bar is. Decided I'd check out the Jimmy Hart's Tiki Bar, and there he was.
Hell yeah!
Just like any other day.
That is awesome. I love it. Now, being in the ring, going up against competition, and wrestling a lot of opponents in ROH, WWE, or NXT, or just in general, who would you like to get in the ring with that you have not stepped in the ring with? Who is your dream opponent and dream match against?
An absolute dream that I would, as far as a goal, my stretch goal, I would have to say is probably the main event of WrestleMania against Daniel Bryan.
Really?
Yeah, I would say that would be my absolute dream that I would think could possibly happen.
That Daniel Bryan, he's an amazing talent, and he's had an amazing career being in ROH and where he went and everything he went through in WWE there. And I'd have to say WrestleMania, out of all the WrestleManias, WrestleMania 30 is one of my favorites because he opened the show going against Triple H in a fantastic match, and he closed the show capturing the unified WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and that was one of my favorite like modern WrestleManias. But still, my favorite to this date is WrestleMania 3 when Andre got when he got slammed by Hulk Hogan. But yeah, Daniel Bryan is amazing talent. What's that?
Yeah, I would love to get in the ring with Daniel Bryan at some point.
Yeah.
Not sure when that would happen. I don't have a time frame on that goal, but that's my absolute dream. As far as what could possibly happen now, some dream matches I would like to have.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy who wrestles in Kentucky. I don't think he's anywhere close to hanging the boots up, but before he does, I would love to wrestle a guy named John Noble. He helped train me, and he's one of the guys that was very instrumental in getting me started. Never had a match with him, and I would love to get in the ring with him. And another guy who's really killing it right now, name's legendary Larry D. I'd love to get in the ring with Larry. And as far as somebody I'd really like to get in the ring with again, a guy named Crash Jackson. He is up in Ohio. He's just doing the traveling thing. He's riding in people's cars. He's going to every show that he possibly can. He's a Rockstar Pro. He's bunking with guys who are on Impact Wrestling right now, and he's a guy that I respect and that I saw starting this business, and I want to get in the ring with him again. Been in the ring many times, but not in a long time. It's been too long.
Nice. Talking about promotions, what's your thoughts on this new promotion with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks, AEW, All Elite Wrestling?
I think it's a great thing that they're starting their own promotion, and that there's going to be another place for people to get jobs in the wrestling business. There's going to be another place that's going to be an alternative for the fans. If they don't like a certain product with WWE, they can now watch AEW. There's so much stuff that's out there, and so much exciting news that you see keep coming out about AEW, and it's another place that people could possibly go, take seminars, train, things like that. Another place for knowledge for indie guys out there. I love it. I see nothing but good things.
It is. I'm excited about the May 25th pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and I was looking on Twitter that a lot of people were giving some negative comments and thoughts about Kenny Omega signing with AEW, and it looks like we're going to see Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho #2. And the reason why I'm not surprised with that, and I'm actually looking forward to it, is because I feel that both of those talents in the ring and what they did at Wrestle Kingdom last year was phenomenal, was fantastic. And I feel that a lot of the American audience did not get to see Omega and Jericho, and having another match at Double or Nothing on May 25th on U.S. soil is going to be great because they can actually up their game and do something else. And what do you think about Jericho, man, at the age he's at and what he's doing, man? The guy never stops. He never stops, man.
He's one of my favorites too, growing up, and still one of my favorites today. And loved the opportunity to meet Chris Jericho. Would be ecstatic about the possibility of working with Chris Jericho, possibly wrestling Chris Jericho at some point in my career. But he's pretty on top of his game even still today. So I just think it's great. It keeps him evolving and keeps changing and doing new things, and that's what it's going to take out of everyone in the wrestling business. And he's definitely found the formula to stay fresh. And I can't say enough good things about Chris Jericho. I'm glad that he's doing something new, and it's exciting now that he's the guy that's making AEW actually seem like a legitimate competitor to the WWE.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is. He is. I was laughing about the comments that people said about when AEW started making noise about announcing an unnamed show in Jacksonville, the Double or Nothing pay-per-view, and people were all over hitting Twitter saying, "Oh, it's, Monday Night Wars 2.0." And it's like all they announced was a roster, who they got signed, who they're going to be getting, and 2 events. That's it. And people were just blowing it out of proportion. And eventually, we will see AEW on TV on a day of the week with a time slot. And if it's on a Monday night and they go up against WWE Raw, that's fine. Or Tuesday night against SmackDown, that's fine. That's fine. But right now, I'm interested, just like everybody else, to see what they do and when they do it and how they're going to do it. And it's going to be great to see this new promotion get up and see the talent they already have in there. And just, it's going to be fantastic. It definitely is going to be fantastic on that. And what are you looking forward to for this year's WrestleMania? With the road to WrestleMania, that's one of the biggest pay-per-views and events of the year. And so far, you have Seth Rollins going up against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. And then, of course, right now, a lot of people's buzzing about. A lot of people are pretty pissed off this Monday on Twitter and on social media, like on Facebook too, as well, voicing their opinions about Charlotte being in the match now against Ronda Rousey, and Becky Lynch is out. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I think it's interesting, and it's definitely interesting to see in a women's championship main event at WrestleMania that we see leading up to it. Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, all of these huge names inserting themselves in the build-up to this. I think that there's more to the story than just Becky Lynch is out, Charlotte Flair's in.
Right.
I think that people need to stay with it and not get so angry at what they see. And if they'll just wait it out and anticipate and get excited about WrestleMania, I think they're going to be blown away. And I honestly think that this year that they could be setting up, this possibly could be the last show, or I'm sorry, the last match on the show is going to be involving the Raw Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely, it's very interesting to me. I'll definitely keep an eye on it because I think they're about to blow everybody's minds. People say what you want about the WWE. They're the biggest company in wrestling, and they're during WrestleMania season, they get it done. I mean, every single year, it's always on point and exactly what wrestling's all about. So anybody getting upset right now, just stay tuned, because I think you're going to be pleased.
I definitely agree. I'm looking forward on how Seth Rollins is one of the main reasons why I watched Raw, because of just his in-ring ability and what he does in the ring. I loved it when he was Intercontinental Champion. I loved his match he had last year at WrestleMania when he did win the Intercontinental Championship in that triple threat. But Rollins, I met him once up at New York SummerSlam, which was great, getting to meet him, and that's when he went up against Super Cena, John Cena, and he won the United States title, and he held that and the WWE title at the same time. And I'm looking to see how that match is going to happen with Rollins and the Beast Brock Lesnar there. And Becky Lynch, I'm sure she's going to find a way to get back into that and whatever that event's going to be with Ronda Rousey. If it's going to be one-on-one with Becky Lynch, she gets her way back in there. Or if it's going to be a triple threat, who knows? The way I look at that there is it kind of reminds me of the Attitude Era. How many times was Stone Cold fired and suspended, and the next week he comes in with a beer truck, he comes in with the Zamboni, and he basically goes after Vince, whips his ass, gets arrested, goes to jail, gets bailed out, and he comes back to the arena and starts whipping Vince's ass. How many times? It's old school attitude stuff, man, you know?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I see a lot of that coming here very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Becky Lynch is like the new Stone Cold. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. But I will tell you this, Maddie. In the chat there, Devin 052317 says hashtag Maddie B to AEW. Then Dirty Deeds 817 says he's at most KZW shows and it's the best wrestling in Kentucky. And Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast, who's part of Podcasting Network, says shout out to Everett Lee and Matty B from Kentucky Zone Wrestling. And Devin also agrees that Wrestle Kingdom with Jericho and Omega, one hell of a match at Wrestle Kingdom. You got a lot of support, man. You got a lot of support with the fans that they love you, they back you, they do. And like you said earlier before, those we're getting new views right now coming in. Your fans that back you and want to see you as KZW champion, World Heavyweight Champion. What else do you have to say for your fans, to your fans that support you?
Well, I'm glad that people get their money's worth when they come out and see me. I'm glad that there's people that definitely agree with me when I say that Kentucky Zone Wrestling. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the name that comes on the checks, but everybody knows that KZW, when Matty B's in the building, is always referred to as Matty B ZW. And those fans that know that, thank you. Come out to Williamsburg, Kentucky, February the 23rd. Come out to all of our events. Come out and see Matty B. Come out and see the rest of the jabronis that Matty B is going to kick. And come out and see me win my heavyweight championship.
Nice. Be sure to check Matty B out this Saturday, February 23rd, at Kentucky Zone Wrestling returns to Williamsburg, Kentucky at There Will Be Carnage. Williamsburg National Guard Armory, 215 Hurricane. Hell Williamsburg, Kentucky. Doors open at 7 p.m. Bell time is 7:30 p.m. All tickets $10, and they now accept major credit cards. So bring the family out to Kentucky Zone Wrestling. Support Matty B, and it's going to be interesting and see what he does, like you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the program, what he does, and you got to check it out. And I want to thank you tonight for taking time out, coming on, and discussing KZW and wrestling in general. Before I close this podcast out tonight, and I want to mention real quick, I want to thank everyone who's viewed and on the chat here and viewed the live stream of this podcast. Before we do close out, Matty, do you have any last words for your opponents at the next event that I mentioned and we've been talking about tonight, and anything else you want to add to that?
Well, if JJ doesn't give me what I want, then I guess in the tag team championship match, Repic, Sully Larkin, the Undead Outlaws, get ready to lose the championships, because at the snap of my finger, I'll just take them right from you. But if JJ does give me what I want, and that is Chief Tomahawk in the main event, then your boy Matty B is going to be going to the pay window with 10 pounds of gold, because I'm taking back my Matty BZW heavyweight championship. Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank, ladies and gentlemen, right there. The champ has spoken. And be sure to be there Saturday, February 23rd at There Will Be Carnage. Matty, where can people find you and keep up with you on social media at?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. I'm on, my Facebook name on there is Matt Branham. That's BRANHAM. You can also find me on Twitter as Heel Matty. That's HEELMATTY. And you can find me on YouTube on the KSW YouTube page. And there's my Snapchat. If any of my fans want to add me on Snap, it's Ultimate Matty. So just check me out at a few of those places, and then definitely come out and support Matty BZW. Come out and support Matty B.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And before we close out this podcast tonight, ladies and gentlemen, viewing the live stream right now here on twitch.tv/podcasting network, you can find this show and much more content on Podcast City Network at podcastcity.net. You can follow Podcast City Network on Facebook, facebook.com/Podcast Network, and on Twitter. You can send us a tweet at Podcast City Net. You want more Everett Lee Show? You can listen to Everett Lee Show on the following: on Stitcher Radio. Download that app for your smartphone and tablet, and Libsyn.com/The Everett Lee Show, and on iTunes. Everett Lee Show is on iTunes and on YouTube. Search The Everett Lee Show, and you'll be able to hear this audio portion of that podcast right there on the following right there you see on the screen, and what I just mentioned. And that is it for The Everett Lee Show. One more announcement before I leave right now. You guys want to check out this week, ladies and gentlemen. This week I have a really awesome podcast coming up on Sunday, February 17th at 1 p.m., 10 a.m. Pacific. I have the War Women's Champion, Hardcore Heather Owens, will be on the podcast. She just had her retirement match on February 2nd. You can see right there her winning the title in her retirement match, which was a shock to everybody. I will have Hardcore Heather Owens on, and I will get her thoughts and discuss what was going through her mind on her final match before she laced up her boots going into that match, and her thoughts afterwards. So be sure to check that out February 17th, this Sunday at 1 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/Podcast City Network for the War Women's Champion. Hardcore Heather Owens will be on the podcast. So be sure to check that out, ladies and gentlemen. And that is it for the Everett Lee Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight and listening. Everett Lee signing off. Everyone have a good night and a good week, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Everett Lee Show. Peace. Oh yeah, happy birthday to David C. Russell, Deathmatch Wrestle Podcast.